Hello, good evening, and welcome to this episode of Foodocracy India. And it's so good to be talking to you. It's been a while since I've been here, but I thought that I must catch up with all of you today. So, if you're new here, then let me tell you what Foodocracy India is or who I am. So, my name is Kalyan Karmakar. I'm a food and travel writer based in Mumbai, and I love traveling across India, across the world, and discovering new places. And the sort of places which appeal to me the most are the hole in the wall places, the family run places, the street food joints. Because to me, these are the sort of places where people go to eat, and these are the places which feed us and leave us with very very happy food memories. So when this lockdown started, which seems a long time back, almost 6 months back, I thought that let me start this series called Foodocracy India, where I'm going to talk to you about my happy and favorite eating experiences from whatever little one has traveled across the country. Of course, there's so much more to discover, but I thought that I'm going to use this hashtag Foodocracy India. In fact, I encourage you also to use this hashtag Foodocracy India and to talk about it, about your favorite food experiences on your social media and so on. This time, for the last couple of episodes, I've been in Mumbai. I've spoken about the Keema at Grant Road, and then I've spoken about various other places. So Pancham Puri Wala, which is one of the oldest restaurants. Then about Hotel Deluxe and the Keralite food here. So then I thought that today I can't be so Mumbai centric. I need to move out of home. Mumbai, like I said, is where I stay. So therefore, I am taking you to Surat in Gujarat. Not that far off. It's a neighboring state. And I'm going to talk to you about a place which has more than 100 types of eggs and on the menu. And in case you're wondering why I'm looking left and right, so my two cats are here. And let me show you. So there's Baby Loaf down, and there's little Nimki. So in case you hear some sounds of skirmishes or meowing or sounds of bells, then that's a cat. So it's not a studio environment as like a lot of people are during the lockdown. I'm broadcasting to you from home. So well, that's it. And in home, when you're talking, you can talk with the kitties. Baby Loaf is exploring around. Little Nimki is busy gobbling. He's got some hunger appetite. So listen, I went to Surat for the first time about a couple of years back, and that's been my only trip so far, and my first trip and only trip to Gujarat as well. And I know that I have a lot to explore over there because it's one state where the people really love their food. Now, sitting in Mumbai, one thought that Gujarati food is going to be all about sweet vegetarian food because that's the sort of food which one gets in the thalis. But as Baby Loaf is saying over there, it's not all sweet food, and that I've sort of figured out over the last few years, through friends and when I've gone and eat it at their places or at places like Som, the restaurant, or at the house of Rushina Munshak Hildial. I've realized that there's or Anak Desai, who's the person who recommended the restaurant, one of the many, which I'm going to speak about. So I've discovered that, of course, there's a lot more to Gujarati food, and it depends on which part of the country or which part of the state we're talking of. And according to that, the spice level could vary, or the sweetness levels could vary, and so on. In case you're wondering why I'm looking there, Baby Loaf is scratching the sofa and he's looking at me a bit guiltily. But my wife Kenaz is broadcasting in another room, so we can do whatever we want over here, and as long as she doesn't see it later. But don't scratch the sofa. Okay, so we more or less established before I went to Gujarat that it's not all about the sweet food which they give. One of the other associations with Gujarat and Gujarati food or Gujaratis is that they're all vegetarian, so it should be all about vegetarian food, which as I realized when I went there is not entirely true. Of course, there are subsects in Gujarat, the Parsis, the Bodhis, and so on, who in any case are not vegetarians. But as I realized that there are people in Gujarat who eat non-vegetarian food as well. So we were in Surat a couple of years back, and it was a very special trip. I'd gone there with my wife and my mother-in-law and Mama, so her brother, and Masi, her sister. So basically, my mother-in-law's side of the family, my wife is Parsi, is from Surat. They're Parsis from Surat. while her father's side, my father-in-law's side, is from Mumbai, and these cats are running all over the place. There's going to be some serious damage happening of the equipment. Anyway, it was a pleasure, and it was a absolute treat to go to Surat with these three people: my mother-in-law, her brother, and sister. Because when they went there, all three of them are in their 70s, but when they went there, they became like kids. I won't even say 17-year-olds, more like 7-year-olds. And we went back to the. What are you doing, jumping so much? Come on, come on. Oh. So they were so excited when they went to their old house where they'd grown up, and then their old food haunts. I've spoken to you about one of them, Dhanji Bhai Bhajiawala, and the puri bhaji we had over there. Then there was this cold drink, cold coffee, cold chocolate shake which we'd gone to. So a lot of memories over there. And then there were sort of new memories or new discoveries. For example, the Surti Locho, which is so famous, but as a bystander at the place which we went to, sort of Riley told us it's basically a byproduct of Khaman. But that didn't really exist when the three siblings were growing up in Surat in the 1940s and 50s. So there were some new discoveries, and of course we discovered there is non-vegetarian food in Surat. In fact, there's one place called Randir, which my mama said that when they were growing up were like in the outskirts of the city, but now it's pretty central with the flyovers and lovely roads connecting it. So over there I went and had some beautiful khao suey, and then the Baida parathas, which is like the Mughlai parathas of Kolkata, the under parathas. And we also saw a lot of shops and stalls from where they were selling kebabs and tandoori chicken and whatnot. But one thing which we saw wherever we went in Surat, including in what could be called mainstream, the the original parts of Surat, was that there were lots and lots of thalas selling eggs and eggs preparations. So anda burji, omelette, boiled egg. It's like, the Surtis, as they call the people of Surat, couldn't get enough of eggs. It's almost like if there's ever an egg shortage in India, you can blame it on the people in Surat, saying that they're finishing it all over there. So it was fun to try that. And then when I was looking for recommendations on where to eat, especially the newer places, in case you can hear a bell, it's not some divine intervention, it's my little kitty's collar. So when I asked people for recommendations, and I was getting a lot of nice recommendations on different sort of places, the only thing which I didn't find was a place to get good hardcore Gujarati food, because there were a lot of thali joints, but when we looked them over, then most of them had a mix of Gujarati, Rajasthani, Chindian, all of that. And in fact, most people said that to eat Gujarati vegetarian food, you have to go to someone's house. There are not that many options out there, or maybe at least if you're a tourist. But one place which a lot of people, including Anak Desai, whom I spoke about a bit earlier, was Bhai Bhai Omelette. And there are one or two other places like that, which specialize in egg preparations, and not just omelettes, but much more. So we decided to go there, and it's at a place called Nanpura. So my wife, mama-in-law, my mother-in-law, masi-in-law, we all went there. And this was winter, so there was a bit of a nip over there. Then the three elderly folks sort of felt that this is not their sort of scene, because it was, it's while I'm calling it a restaurant, but it's more like a dhaba, a khanavar. If you remember, I was telling you earlier about Rujuta Khanavar in Nashik. So it was a bit like that, but much larger. So basically, very basic. This thing. There were people of both genders, all age groups, all social groups over there. But they weren't very comfortable. But Kanaz, my wife, she said that she'll give me company. It wasn't really her sort of place normally. So I was a bit surprised that she said she would give me company, but I was happy rather than being alone. So like I told you, this was winter month, probably December, January or something like that. And there was a bit of a nip in the air, and especially we are from Mumbai, so we are not really used to cold. And but there was a queue to get in, and this was a weekday, a Wednesday. But yet, or Thursday or something like that. But yet there was a huge queue to get into this place, Bhai Bhai Omelette. So what happened was that there were lots of people waiting outside. There's some people with cars parked, and like I said, the crowd consisted of all sorts of people: male, female, young, middle-aged, older, all socio-economic classes. Everyone was there. So and then you want to come in the podcast? Come. Little Nimki wants to come in the podcast. So you like omelets? You like eggs? No. He only wants to eat baby loaf's food. No. So there's a little Nimki. There's baby loaf also now. He wants to. He's there. Okay. So there was this young man who came up to us, and so I said that how do we get a place? So he said that you have to give your name and I'll call you in. And he didn't even keep any diary or something like that. So I said, yeah, he didn't even keep a diary. He's a bit of snuggler or kitty. For people who are listening to this later, especially on the podcast on Anchor, you might be wondering what's happening, but I'm holding my kitty, little Nimki in my arms, who's decided to nibble my fingers. Yes, where was I? Okay, so I was wondering that how will he remember our names, and there were so many people waiting, but he said that no, we will, and there was not even a piece of paper or whatever. So I gave my name Kalyan, and the two of us were waiting, and along with everyone else. You have to wait, Nimki. You have to wait. Yeah, yes. No, you can't eat my fingers. So that's my kitty for people listening on the podcast, just audio later. So we waited for about 15-20 minutes. The weather was nice. It was a big road. There were a lot of people, so we were not really worried. Well lit. And okay, you want to jump? Go. And it was chilly, like I said, so it was pleasant. And it was a family holiday, so for a bit of time, the two of us were by ourselves, which was nice. And then suddenly this guy called up, Kalyani, which is not my name is Kalyan, but even Sylvia at Candy's Cafe, where I go to very often, even after all these years, she calls me Kalyani. So we went in, and it was tough waiting there because there were all these tawas on which so flat griddle pans on which they were making various egg preparations, and there was lots of butter going in, lots of cheese going in, spices, and the smell of eggs, and it was really hard to control oneself. But one had to be patient, and that's the thing about most of these places on Foodocracy India, because they're so popular that you often need to queue up, but it's worth it in most cases. They might not make it to any list, they might not win any awards, but they don't really care because they've got so much love of all the customers who are going there. Okay, so for all of you who saw me holding little Nimki all this while, there is Baby Loaf. So you won't see me holding him up right now, and he's not that much of a featherweight as little Nimki is, but little Nimki loves to be snuggled. Okay, so we went in, and there were two sections, so we sat down, and it's the sort of places, like again, a lot of places in Foodocracy India, where you have to share tables, and you're familiar with this across India. It's going to change a bit, I guess, in the post-pandemic world, where probably we won't be cloistered in for a while. But I think I was reading about Sona Bahadur's article in the Scroll, where she was talking about how this sense of community which comes in when you're eating out in a restaurant is something which one misses, because it's not so much about just whom you're going with, but even if you're alone, just sitting at a place surrounded by people makes you realize that you're not alone. But those times will come back. Till then, it's about being home and enjoying home food. And in my case, like you saw with these two little kitties, and then one wants to be back in the camera again. So we sat down, and there were tables getting empty, more people coming in, and while it was crowded, packed, but I must say it was very clean, very hygienic. There was no stains, curry spots, or odor or anything like that. And then we were trying to figure out how to order, and there were more than 100 there were more than 100 items in the menu. There was even something called an Australian omelette, and I'm sure it had nothing, like I wrote in my blog, to do with either Nicole Kidman or Tom Cruise. But in fact, when I went to Australia a couple of times, I don't think there was any special omelette over there. But later I learned it's probably an omelette with white sauce and so on. So then this young waiter came in. So we told him, look, do you have any suggestions on what to order? And so he looked at us, and then he said, "Aap log spicy khate hai? Do you want spicy?" So we said, no, not too spicy. So Baby Loaf, yeah. He also don't like too spicy. So they recommended two dishes to us. One was the Lahori kachu, and the other one was the korma, the dry korma, and he specified the dry korma. Now there's a young guy who took the order, but he seemed to be quite clear about what we should eat. So then it didn't seem to be a sort of guy whom one needed to argue with a bit. And this picture, if you can see, if you're on Instagram, is outside of Bhai Bhai Omelette where we were waiting. And this is like I told you, I mean, there are a lot of people sitting there and packed in and stuff. And soon the food came, and both of them. So let me show you first the Lahori, which came in. So the Lahori was basically a sort of soft scrambled egg in a red Mughlai sort of gravy too. So, the sort of gravy you'd probably expect in a butter chickenish sort of balti chickenish sort of dish. You know what I mean? The red curry with a slightly sweet, slightly tangy, slightly spicy sort of feel to it, and like I said, beautiful texture. Like it was soft, nicely scrambled, and you can see in the corner that there are two types of breads which you can get with it. When I say see, I'm talking to the people on Instagram. On Facebook, you can't. There was the rotli, which is what the Gujaratis call roti, and as well as the Parsis. And the roti was soaked in ghee, which gave my wife so much joy, because that's the sort of rotli she's grown up on, especially at her mama and grandmom's place, late grandmom from Surat. And then there was what they call pav, but the pav was not like the ladi pav of Mumbai, more like the lamba pav which you get at places like Muhammad Ali Road or Bori Mohalla, especially during Ramzan in Mumbai. So that was the Lahori Kachi, like I said, Mughlaish, reddish sort of gravy with scrambled eggs in it. And then was the other dish which he suggested, which was the korma, egg korma, dry. So that had boiled eggs in it and a slightly greenish, thick gravy. I'm not sure whether one could call it a gravy or a paste. You can see it on the Instagram live screen, and there were slices of cheese on it, and it was so delicious. I mean, I can't really choose between which of the two was better, whether the Lahori was better or the dry egg korma, and this young waiter who had a very strong point of view on what we should order. Come here. Was he your friend? Yeah. So with a very strong point of view on what you should order. Okay, now you want to bite me, huh? Before this, he was there on the strong point of view on what you should order. Was very right. So I kept dipping on the kachu and the lahori and the korma and the kachu. And they were really nice, and mopping them up in the bread and in this cold weather was the loveliest thing, right? Loveliest thing which you could do. In case you're listening to me in the podcast and wondering why I'm doing baby talk and you can't see the video, that's because I'm holding to my kitty, Nimki. So that's the beauty of broadcasting from home. But the food was lovely, really, really good. And in fact, my wife Kenas, and I told you it's not her seeing this sort of place, but she really enjoyed it as well. She enjoyed the experience, she enjoyed the food, she enjoyed the rotli, the pav, and the eggs and stuff. It sort of really inspired me made me want to come back and go through the other 98 items in the menu. In fact, there are more than 100. And in case you're wondering, there was no mutton, there was no red meat, but there were egg combinations which had chicken in it and chicken offal. So there was liver and various other entrails and stuff like that. So yes, I mean, you do get good vegetarian food in Surat, but there's more to it. There's more to it, and that's what my kitties would love, because they have a strong non-vegetarian diet. And I think he's going to tear up the curtains, little Inky. It's been fun talking to you. It's been a while since I've done a Foodocracy India broadcast. I must say that I had to push myself a bit today, because I was feeling a bit sluggish, and it's been a bit stormy in the evening in Mumbai. But I said that no, let me go and talk to you guys, because it's been a while. And I said that let me talk to you about some other place than Mumbai. So I said, okay, let me think. And I said, yeah, Surat and Bhai Bhai Omelette is the sort of place. So I wish I knew a bit more backstory about the place. I know that it's about 10, 15 years old. I know that it's very, very popular in Surat, and we could see that. And it's the sort of place which you should definitely go. And if you're an egg lover, then you should plan a pilgrimage to Surat to go to Bhai Bhai Omelette. The story of Surat is a significant one, given the times which are in, which is of that of the pandemic. In fact, my mama in-law said that when they were growing up in Surat, it was like really, really dirty, and compared to what it is now. And I remember when we were in college or doing our MBA in Calcutta, there was a plague in Surat, and then one read about, and I was back in Calcutta then, that how the civic authorities got together and the citizens of Surat to completely cleanse the city, like they say, turning poison into medicine, and and that's what Surat did, and that's how they got on top of the plague and all the sort of the infections and the plagues and the epidemics which would happen in Surat was a thing of the past, and it was a combination of, I think, the will of the citizens and the support of the civic authorities, and like my mama keeps saying, that it's been a 360-degree transformation. So I think that there's a bit of a lesson for us in the time of the pandemic in which we are in right now, that I think we need to all as citizens get together, and the civic authorities and the government, and we need to sort of completely change and tackle the way things are from a hygiene point of view. In fact, when restaurants get back, street food get back, and when the world gets back to normal, we need to put in a focus on hygiene. I think as customers we need to demand that. As I'm sure that people at the other end, who are the sellers or the owners of these food joints, will also do it, because they're also human. I'm seeing this in sometimes, like some of our household staff has started to come to work, and they're as cautious about their health as we are. So I think more that there's this common understanding that we need to get together to create a more hygienic environment. I think things will be much nicer, right, Baby Loaf? And so guys, stay safe. Please, things are being opened up across the country, which is in a way good, because the economy needs it. I think mentally we also need that, because being cooped in all the time. But at the same time, I don't want to scare you, but the virus hasn't gone anywhere. So it's not a question of fear, but I think it's a question of being circumspect, taking guard. All we know all the things, like wearing a mask when we go out, maintaining social distance, whatever, 2 meters, 6 feet, as much as possible. Keep washing your hands. Don't go out unless it's absolutely necessary. Like for me, it is not. So I'm going to stay in. My wife is also working from home. And so like my friend Shashwati is saying, I'm going to answer some of the questions now, or respond to your comments. Have to make plans for Surat. You go back to Surat, you absolutely have to. We have our friend, I have to go up her handle, Adi Vidrohi. Thanks for joining in, and she loves seeing Baby Loaf and Nimki. Sneha Senapati, home chef from Mumbai, who's been doing fabulous Odia food. We tried some of her street food last week, and before that the Ganesh Puja food. So let me tell you what else is coming up. Talking of home chefs, I'm going to put the announcement, but on Sunday, I'm really sorry, on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. I will be on a Foodocracy for Her chat, where I speak to women entrepreneurs in the Indian food and beverage industry, and I'm going to speak to a friend of mine, Ananya Banerjee from Mumbai, who is originally an artist, then became a home chef, content creator. But I think the post the pandemic and the lockdown is when she came into her own as an entrepreneur. We've got Planet on My Plate from Kolkata saying that she'll be using the hashtag to talk about places which should fit into Foodocracy for India. Please do that. And great to see so many of you joining in. And then here the folks from bookaworkshop.in. And on the 20th, I'm doing a workshop with them at bookaworkshop.in on how to move from Instagram account to brand organically. So whatever I've learned, I can see a lot of other friends join in at various points. Palki Hatangadi, who just loves to eat. She works in the corporate world, but she goes and explores a lot. There's Zeba Kohli, the queen of chocolate, and my young friend Bawarchi Ajay, who's in Delhi doing his own podcasts and pretty successfully. So great to see you people. And that was the idea of coming on. I must say that I was feeling a bit lackluster about doing this walk. No, what I was saying, not the walk, the talk today. But I think that now that I'm here, And if you're on Instagram Live, you can see this picture of me from Bye Bye Omelette, and you can see the look of glee on my face as I'm looking at both the Lahori Kachu and the eggs korma. Oh, no, hey, I forgot to tell you that we got in winter. So one of the characteristics and advantage of going to winter in winter to Surat is that there's green garlic everywhere. Okay, so fresh green garlic. So whether it is the undio, which is pretty hard to find over there, or every omelette or the locho, there were green garlic everywhere. So all the egg dishes would have fresh green garlic gone in, and which made me remember our uncle, the late Jamshed uncle, whose one of his favorite egg preparation was scrambled egg with green garlic, which I think the Parsis call charvalu idu. Yes, yes. So I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for joining. I was talking to you about Bhai Bhai Omelette in Surat. I spoke to you about my experiences because I'm not from Surat. I'm afraid I didn't have much backstory to give you about it. But what I can definitely tell you is that if you love food, then Surat is a place to go to when you can. In fact, as the saying goes, little Minky, what does it say? Come here. It says, Surat mein khawanu, Kashi mein maranu, or something like that. Yes? Oh, he's like one little bundle of energy. So Surat is one place to go to, and if you eat eggs, then you must definitely go to Bhai Bhai Omelette. So let's really pray and hope that the pandemic situation comes under control. We get our vaccines and everything, and then we can travel and go to Surat. You come with me to Surat? Okay. So thank you, and thank you, little Ninki, for giving me some space in your podcast. And I must before signing off, for those of you who can see on the Instagram feed, there is our baby loaf over there, being a good boy as usual. So it was lovely talking to you. I think it cheered me up, and I hope you enjoyed this soon. And don't forget, Sunday 7:30 p.m. Same place, Instagram Live, Foodocracy for Her with Ananya Banerjee. So see you then. Bye guys. Take care. Bye. And stay safe. And wear your mask if you go out.